Anyone who's been an MMA fan for a while has seen their fair share of terrible decisions by the judges. The losing fighter throws up his hands in shock, the entire stadium echoes with boos, and MMA Twitter is filled with a single word: robbery. And calling bad decisions a robbery isn't wrong. A bad decision can alter a fighter's entire career, rob them of their win bonus, and make Dana White reach never before seen shades of red. There have been some extremely egregious decisions over the years, and there have been many suggestions on how to put an end to it. Many MMA judges have never trained martial arts, let alone fought, and many are boxing judges who took on MMA, which we can all agree is just absolutely ridiculous. A very common suggestion that's thrown out is to have ex-fighters be judges, which seems like common sense, but there are a lot of potential issues that arise from that idea, and a few roadblocks to overcome if that change is to be made to the sport. The first major hurdle that needs to be overcome are the state athletic commissions. MMA judges are hired, certified, and sanctioned by these athletic commissions, independent of the UFC. The UFC has no control over who these judges are to avoid biases and fight fixing. To switch over to using ex-fighters as judges, this would require all athletic commissions to remove all MMA judges and hire, train, and certify ex-fighters to be used as judges. Each fight card uses approximately 9 judges. This would make this an expensive and lengthy change to implement. Another issue that arises with this is that all these independent commissions would need to agree to the change. Otherwise, having some states have ex-fighters as judges and other states keep the old judges might cause fighters to avoid or refuse to fight in certain states, and that makes the sport lose uniformity across the board. Aside from the Nevada State Athletic Commission, many athletic commissions don't prioritize or even particularly like MMA, so that might be another hurdle. After all, New York just legalized MMA after having it banned for a very long time. Another issue would be events held outside of the United States. Talent pools in many foreign countries are limited when it comes to qualified judges, and implementing this kind of change in every destination would be difficult and would probably make Dana White have another stroke. Although, if ex-fighters became judges in the States, it might be possible to outsource those judges for foreign events, kind of like how American referees like Herb Dean referee all around the world. But let's say every commission everywhere agrees to kick the old judges to the curb and hire ex-fighters. Should be a smooth and easy transition, right? Well, there's still some more problems that might pop up. Biases are an important factor to consider when choosing judges. That's not to say that all judges would not have integrity, but even subconscious and cognitive biases can play a factor. There are a few different avenues of bias to watch out for. The first bias is with gyms, friends, and training partners. It goes without saying that judges should not be personal friends or training partners with the fighters that they judge, which is something to look out for. The opposite should also be looked out for if the judges have a personal dislike for the fighter, either through personal experience or through loyalty to a fellow fighter who has issues with the fighter at hand. After all, it wouldn't make sense to have Artem Lobov be a judge for a Khabib fight. MMA is a tight-knit community that is big on loyalty to friends, partners, and gyms, so this is definitely something to look out for. While we're on the topic of loyalty to a specific country, state, or even city is something to pay attention to. If you've been a fan of MMA for a while, you'll have noticed the national pride and loyalty fighters hold to their hometown. Many smaller countries only have 1 or 2 big MMA gyms, so the majority of that country's or region's fighters come from a single tight-knit gym. Some examples are SBG Ireland or Eagles MMA in Dagestan. Having ex-fighter judges who represent the same flag or regions as fighters being judged might invite some bias into the picture. The last possible bias an ex-fighter judge may have is towards their own martial arts specialty. A judge during his own career started off as a wrestler might score takedowns at a higher weight in a round over a judge who started off primarily as a kickboxer. Same could be said for a jiu-jitsu black belt judge who might give someone on their back in guard more credit for control and submission attempts, whereas a wrestler might only focus on who is on top. Modern day UFC fighters tend to have a very well-rounded game and a deep understanding of all aspects of MMA, but these hypothetical ex-fighter judges won't all be ex-UFC fighters. They could be retired fighters from smaller organizations, or fighters who have only had 1 or 2 pro fights on the regional circuit and don't have the same level of understanding of all aspects of the sport, possibly causing this issue. All of these biases need to be accounted for and dealt with if having ex-fighter judges, which would likely mean having to have a larger roster of them to choose from. Individually, each issue may not seem so bad, but pile them on top of each other, along with dealing with the commissions and their lack of interest in this change, having ex-fighters as judges seems like it's never going to happen, and maybe it won't. There is one point of hope though, and that is that MMA is still an extremely young sport, especially compared to sports like wrestling or boxing, so there's still a lot of room to grow. MMA is still relatively unknown to the general public, and is often still seen as mindless cage fighting. As time goes on, MMA and the UFC will continue to grow exponentially and become much more widely accepted, and hopefully when that happens, the judging and scoring system evolves with it, and we won't just get boxing sloppy seconds. Thanks for watching our video. If you liked our content, don't forget to like and subscribe.